the cloud, and we don't have any kind of special account or anything. So it'll be up for a certain amount of time. So you can tell your friends and family that they'll be able to see the recording, but it's not going to be up there forever. You know, a day or two after the reading, I'll send out a link. Welcome, Christine Maitland. Glad that you're here with us. So, yes, so I want to welcome all of you to Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, established in November 2004. We have people from all over the place. We have some folks from, our features from Humboldt County, California. We have people from Kennewick and Bremerton on the call. We have people from Washington State and Oregon as well. So that's a really exciting thing about the Zoom version of Ghost Town. I founded the reading in 2004, and you know, a little less than a year ago, we brought on Morgan Paige as a co-host. And thank you to Morgan for being here. So we'll be sort of taking turns on, you know, introducing people. And let's see, what do you need to know? Please keep yourself muted when a poet is reading, but in between the poets, I would love for people to make as much noise as possible, clapping, hooting, hollering. So if you want to unmute yourself after a poem has been read and make whatever sort of noise you feel moved to make, that would really, I think, help the poets and the energy. And let's see, we're recording it, I mentioned that. We're doing one poem each, up to 3 minutes, and there'll be about 6 open mic readers before we introduce our featured reader, and then the rest of the list after Wil Gibson has read his stuff. If you have anything that you have for sale or that you would like people to know about, this includes blogs, websites, anything like that, feel free to put that in the chat. Just make sure you choose everyone on the chat if you want everyone here to see it. And I'm going to suggest that you use the speaker view rather than the grid view, because once we have a full house here, you know, the faces can get really tiny. On the speaker view, whoever's speaking will be, you know, the largest thing that you see, full screen for you there. Okay, so I'm gonna read one of my poems to kind of start things off, and then I'll introduce the first couple of open mic people. This is a poem that I wrote for my niece, Coraline, who's an up-and-coming poet who lives in Rochester, New York. We need extra more. Letting someone else in. We need extra more for Coraline Luna, up-and-coming poet. I want more, extra more smiles, love, hugs, empathy, understanding. Extra more will see us through our time of separation. The tactile and the tangible, the touched and the felt, the solidarity born of our solitude, and the daily reminder of our need for each other. Stay safe, stay cool, stay home. Dream of extra more good times ahead. That's my poem for Coraline.
Love it, thank you.
And her parents, my brother and my sister-in-law, working hard to raise a mighty girl in Rochester. Our first open mic reader for tonight is going to be Gary Anderson. So let's give him a warm Ghost Town welcome. Thanks for being here, Gary.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I want to read a poem that I actually, this event happened in 1954. Seems like yesterday. So in 1954, there was a logger strike all up and down the West Coast. All the mills were closed, all the logging was shut down. Some of you may have been around when all that happened. We lived out on 40 acres in Deep River, which is off the Columbia River on the Washington side. And my Norwegian grandpa showed up to help us for that summer of 1954. So this poem talks about unions, and that was a huge deal because the unions shut this logging down. And it's also about being an elder and how elders can be very, very important to a family, especially a family of boys that we were at that time. And it demonstrates that we lived with organic food. I think that's why I've been so healthy most of my life, is we ate nothing but organic food. I don't remember a can or a paper box in those days. And a reminder that Gary Snyder was in this part of the country at that time, working in the logging business. And he said, all loggers all gone fishing, chainsaws in a pool of cold oil on back porches of 10,000 split shake houses, quiet in summer rain. And that's from the late snow and lumber strike of the summer of '54, Gary Snyder. He complained about the loggers' strike and argued unions with my unemployed father down by the woodpile in the garden, waiting for the crawfish to boil in the wash tub. He said, "Come on, boys, we have lots to do. Grandpa has only 10 more years to live." His hands gripped brine as he pulled the silver body of the smelt from the bucket. He showed us how to push the heads onto nails sticking through those 2x2s hanging in the smokehouse he built that summer of 1954. "Don't gut the smelt," he said. "Brine them and cool smoke over green alder. Put them in a paper bag to absorb the oils. Eat them whole." He crafted a rack behind the barn and taught us how to clean the 2 pickup loads of illegal sturgeon traded with the Columbia River gillnet fishermen for 1 case of home brew. "Let me show you how to do this. Hang the sturgeon by the tail. There is no need to gut them. Carefully slice through the skin in a circle above the tail. Begin cutting a strip down the body. Use pliers to grip the slippery skin and pull to the head. Fillet without fear, boys. Sturgeon have no bones. Brine them and smoke 5 hours. Ask your mother to can them in pint, wide-mouthed mason jars." Thank you.
Beautiful, really nice.
Got any samples?
Bruce is hungry.
Thank you, Gary. Next, we're going to hear from Sari Krasinski. Welcome, Sari Krasinski. And I believe this will be the first time that she'll be reading for us here at Crosstown Poetry. Welcome, Sari.
Welcoming committee. I think they yelled homo, or perhaps it was ohm or home, someone hollered from a speeding window as I walked along the tall iron fence around the naval base before I turned down this quiet street and sat on this bench to talk to my notebook. While the moss picks out a life between cobblestones, I transform the indifferent gift of hollered wit through the alchemy of incomprehension. Was this the call of longing for home, for peace, for natural order? The anger when home, peace, natural order become a question? Do I always have to be the questions no one wants to answer? I am like this moss, lost to home, to peace, to natural order, fit only to fly on wild winds, to root in specks of earth, to encrust the predictable concrete with life in all its chaos, to be soaked and sated and washed away in the next rain. A passel of school children passes chattily behind me. Someone has told them they can be whoever they want to be, as long as they button their shirts on the correct side. Perhaps they're telling each other now.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Good stuff. And next we will hear from Bob Reeves. Welcome, Bob.
Yeah. Here I am on, I know I don't look like Sari Krasinski. This is called American. He was a man we never met, pinned to the glaring city night like a butterfly on a board, shirtless in hardly spring, and with a tinfoil skirt, untorn, but alive and beautiful as wings. He was a man we never met, and spoke to everyone who came within a few feet of his never-pausing shamble, including us, said his spirit was, then he thought how to put it, full of hurt. And I have to carry this crap, picking up handfuls of plastic and cloth that lied about being random. He was a man we never met, but came to face us as we waited for a light to change. And I wrenched my sight to see his torso much younger than mine and eyes far older, having looked upon something there was no way to look away from ever. You were as gifted to silence as he to talk, but I recalled how, when first off the locked ward, you longed to run into someone you'd known there, someone like this. But he was a man we never met. He asked me, almost fearful of the reply, "What nationality do you think I am?" "What, American?" I said. But that was the last thing he'd expected anyone to say, and his tongue crumbled for the first time. Before he could get out the speech he'd rehearsed about how his true homeland was heaven, where he lived with Jesus Christ, we were halfway across the street, the man behind us for the rest of our lives. It was still my guess, American. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Bob and Sari and Gary Anderson. I'm gonna introduce the next couple of poets here. Thank you to our host with the most, Christopher Luna, and tell Toni hi for us. We miss her and we love her. Thank you everybody for showing up tonight, and really excited for this list. I know it's going to be a great night. It already is shaping out that way. And next, I would like to introduce somebody who's been with Ghost Town since the very beginning, somebody who we're really, really happy to see here, Lori Loringer. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you. Glad I could make it. All right, well, this is called Fire Walking. Walking barefoot on the hot coals of everything that came before, I am neither grasping nor avoiding, just feeling the heat through the soles of my feet, the radiant energy of 40 years accumulation releasing, the sweet warmth of babies born and raised, of treasures held tightly for a long, long time, the sorrow of books unread and seeds unplanted. Each step carries me through the memories of a shared dream, a dream that grew and changed and was realized and experienced. I press the bottom of my right foot firmly to the bed of smoldering embers and feel the reality of impermanence. Smell the smoke of attachment to things. How can there be attachment where there are no things? I shift my weight to settle my left foot on the earth. For despite appearances, I know there is cool earth beneath the sweltering blackness. My toes ignore the burning smell and dig in as if sinking in warm sand on an Oregon beach. My right foot rises, releasing. Step by step, I cross the ashes of what isn't anymore, pausing to stand in the present moment, releasing everything that isn't now, releasing. One foot after the other, until suddenly I notice that I'm standing on the cool green earth, in the land of everything that hasn't happened yet, neither grasping nor avoiding, ready to experience and realize, to grow and change. All else rises like smoke and vaporizes, joining the wind, releasing.
Yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's really good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Yes, and a poem with, I mean, so much advice in there. Just release and let go and you know and you teach us, and we're just really happy that you're here and you're well.
Yes, we are. Last month, we collected money for Lori and her family through a GoFundMe account that's up for them. And I will find that link and put that up a little bit later. Thank you to everybody from the Ghost Town community who contributed, and you can still contribute now. So if you want to help the Lorangers to rebuild their family home, you know, like I said, we'll get that link up there for you to help. And, you know, Lori, I agree with what Morgan said. We're just glad you and all of your family are still with us and you're all okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to just a kind of a process thing. We had a couple of people who didn't show. If they should happen to show later, Morgan and I will figure out ways to work them in if they were people who are on the list. But that's one of the reasons we had a few less than what I mentioned earlier. And I am ready now to introduce our featured reader. We're very excited to have Wil Gibson with us. He lives in Humboldt County, California, where the trees are big. He has had 5 collections published by kind people and has been included in a number of anthologies and lit mags, both online and in print. He has twice been nominated for both the Pushcart and Best of the Net, and currently spearheads the Redwood Poetry Project. We'd love to hear more about that, Wil, if you feel like talking about it. You can find links to books and more info at wilgibson.com. Let's give a warm Ghost Town welcome to Wil Gibson, all the way from California.
Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, the Redwood Poetry Project is my I guess current passion project. I stopped touring about a year and a half ago to focus more on family life and things like that, which I desperately do not miss touring. I get to sleep in a big comfy bed every night, and that's awesome. It's a lot better than somebody's, like, at times kitchen floor. But the Redwood Poetry Project itself is, we're trying to bring, I say we, but it's mostly me. There's really no one else on board. Well, my wife, but you know, she does it probably because she loves me. God knows why. But anyway, we are trying to put poetry where it hasn't been positioned before. That being, I'm white trash myself. I grew up white trash, and I mean, I just grew bigger. So, and I'm proud of that heritage. I appreciate everything that I'm given or I work for or anything like that, while still being able to perceive how I've been given every chance because I'm a white male in America. You know what I mean? And so those combine in a very odd place in my family, and a lot of my family doesn't agree with it, but they live in Arkansas and they just don't know no better, bless their hearts, about both things, living in Arkansas and, you know, racism in the United States. But regardless, so we work with the jail population. I've been working in the county jail for about, well, almost a year now, but COVID has slowed that down to all but a crawl, unfortunately. And so now I do a lot of the work with, I work at the Needle Exchange here in town, and we do a lot of poetry programs through that. And I mean, I was homeless for about 12 years, so I love working with the homeless community, and, you know, giving them notebooks and prompts and pens, and I'm the notebook guy. You know, the people, you know, hang out by stop signs and things, they'll recognize me pretty straight away. Every time they see me coming, they know they're going to get a notebook, or at least an offer of one anyway. So that's what I've been focusing on here in Humboldt. My stepson won Youth Poet Laureate of Eureka, and I mean, he didn't write before we hung out, so I kind of get a little bit of pride out of that, you know, at least a little bit anyway. But yeah, that's mostly what I've been working on, aside from all of this poetry. And so hoping tonight, if I'm looking at it right, I think I'm just going to read all new stuff that's not been released anywhere yet. It's in the manuscript that I've been working on, and a lot of the stuff that I've been working on during the shelter in place. This first one, my wife is, right now, she is a registered nurse in school to be a nurse practitioner. And I mean, I'm just proud to even be in the conversation with her, let alone to be helping in any way to get her there. So this is a poem about how the pandemic affected me as a husband. Being married to a nurse during a pandemic is like watching someone else write your poem. The edit comes with the nightly news, the first draft done by the morning press conference. Twitter is a form that changes with each new hashtag. I wonder every morning if she will get sick, if this will be the last poem. The pains in my back are getting worse. I do not tell my wife. She has enough worry for 5 families. She has been a hero of mine since I first got to know her. Now everyone else calls her a hero too. I feel proud of her, angry that it took the rest of the world so long to see that she's a hero who hunts a new monster who has us hiding in our homes, a monster who recruits you without your knowledge. I think of how easy it is to become a monster. You cannot cough in public without growing horns. My wife was worried that my panic attack might be viewed as sickness and other people might lash out at us while we were at the grocery store. On that same shopping trip, I stared at a woman who wore a mask and gloves while her granddaughter had neither, until I had fully turned her gray hair into horns. Chope papillomavirus causes rabbits to grow keratinous carcinomas that resemble horns. This is where the myth of the jackalope comes from. This is proof that viruses can in fact cause horns, invent new monsters from harmless animals. My wife is better at being a nurse than most of us are at being a human being. My wife still volunteers at the needle exchange, another place some of society thinks creates new monsters. My wife loves monsters into being human, or tries to make humans love monsters any way she can. When I was writing this poem, my wife was at work during a pandemic. I stopped writing when she came home. She came home today.
Woo!
Beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you so
Will,
much.
thank you so much. Powerful.
Thank you. I've been dealing a lot with mortality this year because 2 of my biggest heroes in my life, whether I wanted them to be heroes or not. Yes, my dog's coming in and taking my attention. He can't come anywhere near me without me paying attention to him. Yeah, sometimes the heroes that we end up idolizing aren't the best people. So this is about coming to terms with how your heroes might be bad people and your own death kind of mixed together. When they found the bodies were 42. One, a body alone along an iron beast tracks in the west. The trail, as well as his beautifully destructive body, finally gave fully out. The dust around his sun-bleached bony body swirled with the wind until someone saw his salty corpse on the rails. Even if you don't know who he is, you know who he is. The fire disguised as human, a kinetic freak, the chauffeur to enlightenment, the holy goof. He inspired on the road, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, drove the Grateful Dead, and he died alone on the train tracks. Neil Cassidy left. no blood, just dust. The other, a body on a bathroom floor in the South, a house bigger than some neighborhoods. This body born into mud, dried into dirt and dust around a family's feet in a Mississippi paper shack. Low giving birth to high, paupers creating king of thieves. We all know his name, and his evil actions made him and his child bride famous. He was not only great, he was no good. Every white trash boy from the South wishes they were Elvis at least once. I'm no different, pill-fueled, used, and abusive. The most famous face in American pop culture history. And he died taking a shit at 42. My body is 42. These years have found me wandering, a missionary of some unknown religion with a changing dogma, very few followers. It's not easy to be an unfollowed prophet. A lonely life cliche about artists and writers. I thought I would die before I turned 30, didn't realize two of the people I look up to the most died at the age I now am until I was this age. This year will be an informative one. I will find out if I am allowed to grow old, to be my own idea of what life should be like, or if we are doomed to repeat the actions of our heroes. I know I am no Elvis. I've never stolen anyone's art and passed it off as my own, and I can't sing. I'm dangerously close to being Neal Cassady, though. I know that because most people have no idea who the fuck he was, even if they are aware of what he did. Most people are aware of at least one of the things he did. No one is aware of all of the things that he did. I hope people will remember at least one of the things that I've done. No one will know all of the things that I did. I followed in footsteps, better left empty. Those are my tears to cry, my sleep to lose. I have tried to be a firefly, not just another mosquito like my bloodline bred me to be, but a firefly. I guess I was both. Bright at my best and a blood-sucking pest at my worst. The feeling that comes with being the same age as your idols were when they died is like wearing your dead grandfather's hat. It is surprising how small it is, given that it hung on the head of such a giant. Given what Neil and Elvis accomplished by this age, I thought this age would be bigger. One of the writing prompts that I did, thank you for having me, y'all. I'm hella nervous, so that's why I'm all over the place here. But thank you. I do writing prompts every week at the jail. Even if I just drop them off, then I'm at least doing something, right? And one of the prompts was think back to what you wanted to be when you grew up. And yeah, so I didn't get many good answers. And I didn't get many great responses because it was an unfair question to ask. When you ask an inmate what they wanted to be when they grew up, do not expect them to say anything except anything but this. Every prisoner, no matter how small the sentence or misdemeanor, has remorse at least once. When you think about the times you have been behind bars, bask in your remorse. Remember how you have cried so quietly in jail that no one knew. Hopefully, or maybe no one acknowledged it. Once, another incarcerated individual cried in his cot in such a hushed tone that there was no way anyone but me could have heard him. We never talked about it. We talked about food. He liked potato salad. When one of your best students get 26 years to life, do not talk to anyone about it. They won't understand because you won't understand. Be a king-size candy bar in a Christmas stocking. When another disappears from his cell block and no one will tell you where he is, pretend he got out. Pretend you've seen him on the street, that he waved to you. It won't be the truth, but it will prevent you from getting burnt out, from quitting, from giving up, from walking away. When you hear your neighbor sing, I can't help falling in love with you, like a funeral march, sing along, don't cry. Write a poem about how it is the saddest song ever written, how the song is actually a metaphor for addiction, how you have let your life become a loop for addiction and recovery. Bask in your recovery, then tear up the poem. You didn't mean to write that poem. Some things aren't meant to be. Some things could be cures and end up diseases. When the doctor tells you that you've had an improperly healed, broken back for 25 years, think of all the places you've slept. Think of every uneasy rest. Bask in your rest. Make some potato salad. Use a friend's recipe. Okay, so I've been writing this poem continuously for a little while, and it has changed a bit at times and even recently. But yeah, my favorite writer, well, my favorite poet, I shouldn't say writer, my favorite poet of all time is Jack Micheline, who's not very famous and very few people know who he is. He was around the time of the Beat Generation, but he wasn't really the same as the Beat Generation. I do have a very lewd anecdote about him that I like to tell, that I didn't say it. I'm quoting other people. This isn't my story. Well, it is. Okay, anyway, here. So I did a reading at the Beat History Museum, and they have a few Jack Micheline artifacts there. And this older woman comes up to me, and as they let me look at a few of the artifacts, and I had Sing in the Street for a poem by Jack Micheline. I had his original handwritten copy, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm reading it, you know, and she was like, looked over my shoulders. I knew Jack. I was like, oh, wow, you know, so I started asking her a bunch of questions, and she was like, yeah, kind man, wonderful man. Talked at least 5 minutes about how wonderful he was and what a giving soul he was and how pure he was. And then she took a moment and looked back and thought, dick like a mule, and walked away from me. And she was easily 80 years old. Right? Like she was easily 80 years old, and she and I have kept in touch, and I absolutely adore this woman. And now she's become sort of a mentor to me, but the look on her face, the look of peace as she said that, is something I will hold in my heart, deep in my heart, for the rest of my life. Anyway, this is a poem I wrote as an after to one of Jack's called Chasing Shadows. It was at one point called Chasing Kerouac's Shadow, Jack's was, and mine is called Chasing Sunsets. The glass city gleams in the sun. I am on a bus going through mountains that hold fog like breath to Santa Rosa. They tell me that poets can still be famous, like R.C. Cola and Gorilla Glue. Stages, keyboards, jails, poems, pot, alleys with holy smoke billowing up in the bastard night, liars, survivors, and several of the writers more talented than all. My 20 years of words and voices stored away on digital images on computer screens and a few scattered bookshelves and probably nowhere else, relentless with anger, anxiety, and love. I ponder at this life and why I live in this world around me. My life, a series of scattered moments searching for warmth, and I am just good enough at this not to die. This bus stops in Oakland. The driver says, this one is only a piss-covered mess, fresh from a Reno Express route. I am 42, should be dead by now, been dead for short periods of time, several times, have been told that my words have stopped a couple of people from being dead by now. Been told that I'm some sort of weird genius when I'm really just a fucked up poet who will never come to terms with the spin of this strange.
Did we lose him?
I think we might have.
Smiles from listeners, no matter how many fires, no matter how many followers, no matter how many flowers, no matter how many roads. The truth of life is that it is pointless. But masturbation feels good. We live, we jerk off, we die, and the genius rain avoids us. I am aware of the sun even when I do not see it. I am aware that it exists, that things happen to it, and the world as a result of those things. Chasing shadows is an exhaustive process. They move, these shadows, are hard to hold on to, these heroes, and more of a frustration than carrying my bed mattress from wherever my belongings belong. Evictions, lost loves, hangovers, rheumatoid, arthritis, hemorrhoids, HIV, starving, clichely starving, all for a muse that rarely pays off. And I must be mad or stupid or foolish like a lost phone down to my last call with no cab fare or coffee. I am slightly charming and subtle, forced to tell the truth over and over again for more and more material. Some putz with a gray beard and empty ideas, the old pro chasing a bent dream, the crazy Jew himself who don't know when to quit and who can't say die because I die, and it's all just an angry nightmare. The same trains full of the same broken faces. Money buys everything, and that's why the world's fucked up. Politicians have publicists. This is why poets have publicists, why they make fast food workers smile, while apathy rules and poets hang out in groups for protection and musicians fade away, why artists hate the rich but love their money to hide the magic, the wonder of dogs and the fog and the tallest trees in the world. Wonder is the white snow. Wonder is black sand. Wonder is the broken 20-year-old career and a hummingbird, the rain and the sunshine too. Let's sing a song for all those who dance with the light and dark and forever unknown, like the smoke that passes, slow enough to stay wherever they are, like the stars, the stars, the stars, for the road and 3 a.m. truck stops, for the shadows we chase through them, for the shadows we chase through our notebooks, for the shadows we chase through our poems, for the shadows we chase of the poets who came before us, who wrote everything there is to write before us, who did everything we did before us, who died before us. Honey Sun is the actual sun. David Blair is making music with angels while every hotel in the room slowly disappears. Gabrielle Boulain is handing out condoms and vibrators in heaven. Kent Foreman is whispering smooth lines into the ear of every muse. Shannon Lee is riding with raindrops and filling the ocean. Will Bell is the realest supreme being. Jack McCarthy has every god that has ever existed in tears and stitches. Giselle Robinson is still smiling, always smiling. New birds are coming with rare coats of color. Nick Fox is alive and well and in New Orleans or somewhere Patricia Smith is still the queen of all of this. Rick McIntyre is the brokest, mad old Batman in Providence. Bo Williams is in Ireland becoming a legend. Ryan McClellan is in Nashville teaching legends how to become men. Amy Zimmerman is in Portland, Oregon writing the best poems ever written and no one's paying attention. Billy Tuggle is in Chicago raising fists and a princess who will be president. Maya Hirsch is getting baked and baking. Dylan Collins is probably over there somewhere. Jean Ann Verlee is tightening her docks on the number 5 train. Brennan DeFrisco is smoking like the volcano he is. Sam Teitel is a fucking preacher in Memphis. Andy is basking in the moon. There's too many feathers to count. Devin, Susie Q. Lid, William, Good Ghost Bill, Tova, Adrian. Poets are winning talent shows. Poets are on the Tonight Show. Poets who've gone from front porches to poetry slams to fellowships and magazine covers. The floods are coming. The water is coming. Give it away to all those tears and those with sweat, to those with fear so heavy they drown in those thoughts, those in jail, those chasing ghosts through the empty cities, those who wish they could fly, those who fight, those who don't, those who can't. We are all the water. We are all chasing sunsets or something or shadows, and we haven't even thought about whatever it is that is chasing after us and what it intends to do with us after it wraps its long fingers around our bony necks.
Woo! Yeah.
Well, let's hear it for once again for Wil Gibson. That was an amazing reading, Will. Thank you so much.
Oh man, killer set, dude. Really awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And much love to you and all the poets. Love the shout outs. I knew some of the names. One who had a connection with this reading was Jack McCarthy. He was a feature. He was someone we loved. He was very good to Ghost Town, telling people, how great he thought it was. And so anyway, thanks for reminding us about the great Jack McCarthy. What a great spoken word poet he was and great guy he was, so.
He was a big influence on me. He was the first poet that ever told me I should hit the road. He came and featured in Portland, Maine when I was living there. And he said, hey, that wasn't bad, kid. You ever thought about taking the show on the road? I was like, I was shaking, trying not to grip his hand too hard or, faint or anything. Yeah, he was huge in my career.
Well, Will, can you tell us, do you have anything that's forthcoming or anything that's recent that you want people to know about?
Well, I have this book. It's called Unease at Rest. It's backwards on there. I'm an idiot. But you can find that at my website, which is just wilgibson.com, WILGIBSON.com.
Okay.
I do have a couple of chapbooks coming out, but the full length will be out in about 8 months.
Congratulations on that. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, please keep an eye on the website, and all the information will be on there. And all of my books are available on the website.
All right. Thank you, Will. And
thank you for having me.
Our next few poets will be introduced by Morgan. Thanks again to Wil Gibson. That was amazing, man.
Thank you so much, Will. Wow. I mean, just truth, so much truth, and just so much power and experience behind your voice. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to read more. I know a lot of our readers are into buying books and supporting the living poets. So, and also just supporting the series, helping support Lori Loringer and her family. Thank you, everybody who has donated already and who would like to. I know that Christopher sends out a link to the PayPal in email, right, Chris?
Yeah, I'll be putting up that GoFundMe link again pretty soon here.
Excuse me, GoFundMe for Lori Loringer. Yes,
it's a GoFundMe.
yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you for the correction. Yes, I'm going to introduce the first 4 poets here. It's already been an incredible night. Really happy to be spending it with you all. And the next poet we're going to hear from is Joanne Boswell. Welcome to the Zoom stage, Joanne.
Woo!
Thank you. Okay. Before I read my poem, I wanted to let you all know that there's going to be a Zoom reading on the 17th that I'm putting together with Dale Champlin and John Miller. Sorry. Other way. The Clara Boswell that you see as a participant is my friend Gwyneth, who's social distancing on the porch with me and using my daughter's tablet. So that was the echo. I think we're clear now. So she's laughing and saying sorry, and she's wonderful. Anyway, I'm doing a Zoom poetry reading on Saturday, October 17th at 7 p.m. with Dale Champlin, who has these books of poetry called the Barbie Diaries, and they're hysterical and fabulous. They're written from the perspective of Barbies. And John Miller, who hosts, it's in Portland, right on 23rd. I think it's called Free Range, but maybe I'm saying the wrong one. Anyways, I met them in yeah, and they're fabulous. So anyways, if you're interested, contact me and I'll get you the Zoom information to join that. Okay, so this poem I'm gonna read comes with a couple of disclaimers. It's snarky, as some of my poems are, and I'm writing it from a voice that's very familiar to me, but that I don't identify with anymore. So I just want to give you a little bit of background. I use the word tribe in the poem because this group of people who I'm speaking from their voice often use tribe for themselves. As white Christian people who hang out together, they call themselves a tribe, which really bothers me, but I use that in here. And I also use an assumption that Christian mothers are married to men, which is, again, not an assumption that I stand by. So this was written, I think, back in June, after a run-in with a publication. It's called Mothers Always. Mothers always have love for all, fierce bear snuggles, snarls for predators. We can fight while kissing boo-boos. We're a sisterhood. Welcome to the club. Of course, we have rules. Acceptable mothers are apolitical, asexual, and of course, a Christian, or maybe a Catholic. That one's okay too, we guess. You won't notice us sharing memes except of cute pets and adorable children. Our Insta stories are full of the day's debris, snack time, first steps, French braids, train tracks, finger paints, fast asleep. We could cry all day watching Southern children sing praise songs on YouTube. Share to Facebook, tag 20 friends. Let's weep in unity. This is our code. What brings us together, life's miraculous balance, beauty, and fragility. The sacred calling won't be besmirched with any calls to action by dying Black men pressed onto concrete, claiming our tribe. Our tears are also not for the babies at the border, sleeping on concrete, no way to find mama. We aren't for them, but we're not against them. We're merely separate from them. It's not our place to help by speaking up. We empathize, really, we do. So maybe a vague verse posted for all sides to like, thumbs up all around. We could get into dress code and approved exclamations for frustrating moments. Egads, Brussels sprouts, fiddlesticks. But I think you get the point. Try not to offend anyone. That's the golden rule of motherhood. To receive your sorority pin, simply burn your jeggings and change your Facebook identity to include your husband's name and example, John Jane Smith. We look forward to adding your voice to the collective.
Woo! Very cool.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for sharing that. I love that.
Oh, wow.
Next, we're going to hear from somebody who's grown up with the series, Angelo Luna. Welcome to the Zoom stage, the Ghost Town stage.
Hello, thank you, Morgan. And thanks to Will for being here. That was all amazing. I want to echo everyone else's sentiments because that was great. The poem that I'm going to be reading tonight is something that I wrote for my girlfriend Maria's birthday. She requested that I share it tonight. And her birthday falls 4 days before our anniversary, so the things I do for both of those special days are kind of intertwined. This poem is called "The World is Lucky." It damn sure is. Someone could walk the entire globe several times over before another with even a tenth of your soul was born again. The light from one soul is transferred to another body, just as that new body awakens, truly, for the first time, and it is you. You are the most beautiful child the world has ever seen, and she sees her eyes in you. It's beauty from pain, and you smile. You grow, and the other sparks try to snuff out your fire like pouring a cup of water on a house set ablaze. It's simply not enough, and they don't know that the more they try to drown you, the hotter and brighter you'll burn in the future. You're in a new place now, somewhere colder. That heat inside you keeps you warm, living, sane. Through all the depression and loneliness, you can count on that. You just don't know it yet. You drag your feet through the next few years, just making it through. Now the most beautiful thing is here, new friends and a new fish. Your first real child, a planetary body in the form of an aquatic dancer. The years start to pass a little quicker, you pick up your feet a little higher, you talk more. Now there's me. I meet you, I look into your eyes and I hear jazz. I want to kiss this lady. A consistent, confusing thought that doesn't go away until I do it. We become our partners and unlock each other's cages. I meet the world through the lens of someone who can pick out automatons in a crowd, and you impress me for actually living. You've found passion young. Even when it's muted by the world, it's there and I respect you. I want to make you my queen, and I do. Our years pass and we dance in a rainstorm together. Your fire is starting to truly burn, and it's killing the drops before they can touch us, all the while you smile. A matriarch fell so that you could inspire people, and nobody could have imagined what you would do. I vow to you I will live a long, happy, and healthy life so that you can have a partner whose positivity and soul guides you through the darkest tunnels. I vow that to the furthest extent within my power, I will live longer than you so that you don't have to live with the pain that is losing the one you love. And finally, I vow to love you while you're here, with a fire as bright as yours, and when our blood is passed down the line to a new queen, I will give her the most beautiful life a daughter could wish for. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm blown away. I don't know if any of you are, but yes, Angelo, bringing it. Thank you so much. I'm so happy you're here sharing with us. Please come back, Angelo. Please come back. You've grown up with us, and we've grown up with you, and it just feels right, okay? We're so happy to have you. And happy birthday to Maria, and I hope everything goes well, too.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course. Next, we're going to hear from Bethany Lee. If Bethany is still with us, we'd love to have you unmute yourself and read us some poetry.
Hi. Yes, I'm here. I'm just getting ready in the next few months to launch another book. And so I thought I would put the previous book into the chat just to make sure it gets a little love still, you know? This is the website for the publisher, but the book's called The Breath Between, and if Powell's or Amazon is easier for you, you can find it there too. Last week, I had a poetry workshop over the weekend, and before I logged in, I had to write a piece of poetry, and this is that one. Poetry is saving my life right now. Oh, please, Don't hear this as the lofty ideal of a disconnected one, hovering, toes recoiling over the humble, sacred ground. This is me, tempted to doom scroll all day long, alternating between glee and guilt at the sense that the long-awaited uppance has got up and come. Only frightened for where the shrapnel will hit me, or the ones I love, which I remember now is everyone, is all of us. No man is an island, no matter how one has tried to float alone, and there is no joy in bad news. But I would forget this, if not for the day I had already dedicated to poetry. And wasn't it Annie Dillard who said that how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives? So when I say that poetry is saving my life right now, I only mean that now, and now, and now, with the aid of these words, I am moving again toward the beauty. And my life, the unwieldy, brief bit of time and matter I carry with me, is coming along.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Wow, yeah, I'll definitely check out that link here for your previous book and then look forward to hearing more. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sensing a theme here. Have we all felt saved by poetry at one point or another? I do believe so, and I do believe that's why we continue to show up for ourselves and for others. And yeah, some powerful work.
It's saving my ass, I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't even think I'd be here without it, genuinely. Yeah.
When non-poets hear poets say that it saves our lives, they don't know how like literal and practical that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think art and expression, you know, I think that those, yeah, in general, I mean, we you know, Printed Matter's motto, what is that? We write because we must, right? Christopher, is that's it. And we, at some point, don't have a choice and we can't really go back from there. You know what I mean? So we write because we must. I love that. Before Christopher introduces our final readers for the evening, I would love to read everybody a poem. It's a new poem, untitled. Remember indigo, remember Scorpio rising, remember tithing to the lighting, the hanging lamps, remember secret rooms, how I looked at you, at me, at the reflection in your eyes, and we devoured the color, the scene, devoured each other in sweet reveries, mysteries laid bare, bare feet, bare mood, bare bones, bare tones, born of amethyst, born of plum, born of violet, a co-pilot poised for protection, placed at eye level, the handle to the door, just a bevel, a hidden treasure to lean into, to perceive from, a perch, a portal, unlocked with purple, freed by the moon, the looming tomb reminisces of a kiss, a deep prayer among nature's autumnal mist. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I'm going to pass it over to Christopher now. Thanks, everyone.
Beautiful poem, Morgan. Thank you so much for sharing that. And next we're going to hear from Roxanne Bash. Roxanne, you ready to read something to us?
You bet. I thought this evening I would help celebrate a Nobel Prize winner, an American poet, by reading one of her poems. So this is Burning Leaves by Louise Gluck. The dead leaves catch fire quickly, and they burn quickly in no time at all. They change from something to nothing. Midday, the sky is cold, blue. Under the fire, there's a gray earth. How fast it all goes, how fast the smoke clears, and where the pile of leaves was, an emptiness that suddenly seems vast. Across the road, a boy's watching. He stays a long time watching the leaves burn. Maybe this is how you'll know when the earth is dead. It will ignite
Great. Thank you, Roxanne. Big congratulations to Louise Gluck as well. That's a big one. You know, it's always nice when they acknowledge the poets. I like that. Thank you. And now another Ghost Town Poetry regular, Bruce Hall.
Hey, this started out as I was online or something, and there was supposed to be a thing for a 10-word poem, and it's obviously more than 10 words now. Has no title yet. The importance of skin color is we all have one. The greatness of skin color is we all have one. The ultimate knowledge of skin color is we all have one. The nobility of skin color is we all have one. The transcendence of skin color is we all have one. The victory of skin color is we all have one. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious. The most wonderfulness thing about skin color is we all have one. The bestest ever thing about skin color is we all have one. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. That was great. Next, we're going to hear from Erin Aurelia. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, thank you, Chris. I have one here that I wrote late last month after quite a spell of not having written much. Isolation, as I was telling Chris earlier, has not really been good for my creativity, but I got to spend an evening with a couple of friends, jamming, making music, reading with them, and I wrote a couple new pieces while I was hanging out there, so this is one of them. It's called Parsecs of Breaths. Talk to me of the roots growing under your skin, of the underground rivers permeating and saturating the spaces between your cells, of the primordial gel filling the seams of your postmodern mind, of the random stellar feelings you find in those cracks between time. Time divined and measured by the parsecs of breaths you take, covered by fractal beams of moonlight, of every heartbeat taking flight, called and pulled by tidal waves, unrivaled by the whispers that stir in the sounds that we don't see and in the colors that we don't hear. Pour every flavor into my ear of the spirals of rhymes conjured beneath your tongue, and there, in the gloaming between space and time, this illusion will be undone. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Beautiful, Erin.
Oh yeah, and I should also point out that I'm sitting in my kitchen where I have one of our host Morgan's broadsides hanging up on my wall, the Vernal Equinox poem. I'm very happy to have that there. And while I've got another few seconds here, I'll mention that some of my poetry is going to be featured on Shady Pines Radio tonight at 9 o'clock on the Bewitching Hour show hosted by Amy Blue. So if you get a chance to tune in, Igor is also going to be on tonight. And yeah, I'm excited to be featured there. Happy to be.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. And we like Shady Pines Radio. They're great. If you don't mind, put a link for Shady Pines into the chat so people who want to follow up on that can listen to you in about an hour. That sounds great. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to hear from Jennifer Pratt-Walter.
Oh, yay.
Are you with us, Jennifer?
Hi, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My cat's going crazy trying to tear the tablecloth, so sorry, I'm a little distracted. I've been writing a group of poetry, kind of roughly coalesces around a Sunday, and I'm putting this into a collection. reflecting that, I wrote this to be a responsive reading. Obviously, we can't do that here, so I will take all the parts. This is called To All That Breathe. Be someone who calls the world awake. Begin today. Don't wait. Don't abandon your senses. Mother Earth is crying out in her languages of climate, of seas, and all life. Her lungs ache and crack with drought. Her waters simmer away to brick. Awake, arise, hold this day like a butterfly in your hands. Be a living chalice of light, a beacon calling out, rallying hope. All the animal and the plant people, all water, all the soil and sky are watching, waiting for us to make a difference, breathless with need. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Love that. And our final open mic reader for tonight is going to be Ian Caton. Welcome, Ian. Glad you're with us tonight.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you pretty well. Yeah, I see some nods. It seems like you are being heard, sir.
Here we go. This one's, I'm just happy to be here. I wasn't going to be here, but I'm like, this might be the last poetry reading before the election. This might be, we might not even have the internet in a couple of weeks because shit's going south so fast. So like, we got to just like hold on to each other and just like know that what we have here is pretty special. So. This one's called Moving and Grooving. I wrote it for my daughter.
Moving and grooving for my daughter. It's time to get moving, my wife said to my daughter. Time to get moving, time to get dressed, time to brush teeth and hair. It's time to get moving, it's time to get moving, it's time to get moving, it's time to get to school, time to catch the bus. Time to seal your fate, time to make your breakfast, an egg a waffle on your plate, time to get moving. Don't be late because the time it's passing us by, so it's time to get moving. Moving and grooving, it's moving on up. I see you this morning, lovely smile on your face. Bags cover your eyes. It's time to get moving, young girls facing the world, so much shit's going down. Father acts like a clown, thinking he knows what's up, but he don't. It's a secret world. Hard to understand, but if I look in your eyes, I want to see that you know it's time to get moving. Time to make your sandwich, time to make your bed, it's time to make your breakfast, it's time to get fed, it's time to get moving.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. That was great. And I would like to also say, let's make sure to remember to vote. That is very. Holy crap! I was babbling away and I was muted. That's like a tradition now in a Zoom room. So it was my turn. What I was trying to say was, let's vote. Don't forget to vote, and don't forget to support your local poets, starting with our featured reader, Wil Gibson. Thank you again, Will, for being here for that amazing feature. I've just put that link up. A lot of the poets in the chat and in the room have things that they've worked hard on and that they would like you to know about. I'm putting up the Loringer Family GoFundMe again as well. And I will probably stop the recording as soon as we say goodnight, but we'll, people can kind of slowly back out. So if you need to get to some of those links, you'll have some time to do that. So thanks to Will, thanks to my co-host Morgan Paige, and to all of our beautiful poets and listeners who are here tonight. Thank you so much for keeping Ghost Town poetry alive. It's saving us all. We're glad it's still happening, and we're determined to not miss a month, whatever the hell happens. So thanks, everybody. I love you.
Much love, Chris. Thanks for keeping this going and keeping our group together. The community really means a lot.
My pleasure, Erin. Thanks for saying that. We're glad you're a part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank